Cherie Hanson here. I have been working my way through the 6 pillars of self-esteem and summarizing the book to share with you. I find it very instructive to understand how self-esteem is built in our childhood. I'll just review the information that we have an unconscious life script that we create at the age of 3, and how firm our self-esteem is determines how we move through our lives. We talked before about the self-esteem level is your searchlight of consciousness. It's either brighter or dimmer depending on what happened to you when you were very young. Our security lies only in our ability to learn. And why is that? Because if we are able to learn, then we are able to change our choices. If we're able to learn, we're able to understand that we do have low self-esteem, and we are able now to find our way out of that trap. Self-abasement is the default setting of people who have low self-esteem. It's the path to being liked. And the way to avoid self-abasement, the way to surrendering, taking off our armor, laying down our swords, putting our power away, denying the strength that we have inside us, is to know what the principles are that guide each of our individual lives. What are my values, my principles, and how willing am I to let that be my compass on my life path? What have you surrendered of yourself in your life in order to be loved? And for me, basically, I surrendered my self-respect so that someone would love me, because I didn't believe I held value in and of myself. The other thing that you need to kind of guide you to build up the muscle of your self-esteem is to know what your deepest needs are. What is it I need in this life? What is it that is necessary for me to have? I'm not going to surrender that need or that ethic or that virtue or that value so that someone outside of me can help patch up my broken ego. And the big question, and it's a really interesting question, is who chose your life path? And I have to say for myself that I really didn't understand that my imprinting from my parents, who were very damaged, ended up choosing my life path until well into my 40s. There were victories. I did achieve academic kudos. I did get 3 degrees from university And that came from some deep buried sense of who I was meant to be. So they couldn't take that away from me. That was in there. That was a strong light. If you have high self-esteem, you will have pleasure just being alive. Now, this was something that I lacked for most of my life because I felt like living a life was an assessment of my performance. How well was I doing? How much was I doing? So this seeking validation from outside caused me to just cannibalize my own joy. People who have high self-esteem are really good at managing their own emotions. They may feel a flash of anger or hatred or jealousy or depression, but it doesn't consume them. It's a flash, and then they get back to their normal setting. A person with high self-esteem is very comfortable with self-assertion. No, I don't want to do that. That's the end of it. You don't argue. You don't act like you're on trial. You don't try to convince other people about your choices. You're just in a place where you know what you need, you know who you are, and you are very comfortable in holding your boundaries. People with very high self-esteem, when they're under stress, react with dignity. And this really spoke to me. A person who is wallowing in low self-esteem or who is downcast is someone who is fragile under stress, very fragile. I like to think of a depiction of the rich people, you know, the very rich, those sitting on a throne. They don't get upset. They just say next, or yes, thank you for your opinion. And they have this ability to dismiss someone with a wave of the hand. They're not like a Geiger counter becoming radioactive when they come across something that stresses them out. They just are done. No, goodbye. The way you can tell how you read on the self-esteem meter is through the next list of words. Do you remain rational in all circumstances? Are you living in reality, or are you living in a fantasy, dream-driven, romanticized existence? How intuitive are you? People with high self-esteem are very intuitive. They can tell in a second, in the blink of an eye, this is not for me. No, thank you. How creative are you? And of course, the big one, if you're independent, I don't need people to be around me, squashed up next to me like I'm in a cult, and mirroring back to me that who I am and what I am is correct. I know who I am, and I am very strong in holding that vision of myself in my own mirror. How well do you manage change? People with low self-esteem see every change as a tsunami. It's terrifying. My God, I'm getting bangs from the hairdresser next week. What if I don't recognize myself? They're very quick at correcting mistakes. I call it the pivot. I love that term. It was a mistake. Now, the fact that I had very low self-esteem for so many years meant I was in a mistake of a marriage for 9 or 16 or 18 years. I didn't pivot. I just endured until it was soul crushing. People who have very high self-esteem are always benevolent and generous. Why is that? It's because they're not afraid that you're going to take something away from them. It's because they're not in competition with you. They live in a state of cooperation. They're also very, very good at feeling, seeing, and hearing inner signals. Inside me, I know that something is shifting and there's a reason for it, and I will support that feeling in my life. So this is the second segment of the 6 pillars of self-esteem that I wanted to share with you. Something to think about, because when you begin to understand how self-esteem makes your life easier and more joyous, I think for me, I have come to understand that it's really worth the work of changing the way I view myself. So get a hold of me if you'd like life coaching, if you'd like a psychic reading, if you would like cards read. I will have a session and we'll make a plan. I can tell you right now that my setting in my life is very peaceful. I am very peaceful and very happy with who I am and what I'm doing. And that took a lot of study, a lot of self-awareness, and a lot of mindfulness. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't done it yet, please do. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I appreciate you.